Let me know when we are in the group. Awesome. Welcome, 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 everybody. Thank you so much for being here with us today and joining us in this incredible discussion that we're going to be having today. It's been such an amazing journey to spend really the time with these beautiful authors, my co-authors, and also spend time with you and sharing our magic, our wisdom. And feeling really humbled and so grateful for every single one of you that's participating now here in this moment with us, and also that will be participating, coming in the future and the evolution of this book, really. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Today's discussion is about spirituality, spirit encounters, activating your channel, healing, spiritual authenticity, psychic arts, and so much more, because I know once these conversations start, it's a whole new ball game. But first, let's drop into the space. So I'm going to put some music on. We're not going to do any dancing today because there's been a lot of dancing, but we're definitely going to be just dropping into the space and opening our hearts as well as a group. Okay, let me know if you can hear the music when it goes on and if it's not too loud. Can you hear that? No?
Have you shared the audio through Zoom?
How do I do that? Because normally I just do it through.
Okay, sure. If you click share screen in the bottom,
yeah,
and then up the top there's in the middle it'll say advanced, and then click audio.
Yeah.
And then that will come through Zoom, the Zoom platform. The music will come through the Zoom platform.
How's that? Awesome. All right. Can you still hear me when I talk? Beautiful. All right. Closing down your eyes, everybody. Taking a nice deep breath into your heart. Breathing out, arriving into the space, fully arriving, and place your hand on your heart, giving thanks to your beautiful vessel for being in this moment. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And we're going to take 3 deep breaths, breathing into our third eye. And as we breathe out, pushing the energy out to open that beautiful chakra that channels through our third eye, that's opening our focus, clarity, allowing clarity to come. And breathing into our heart space, drawing the energy deep into our heart. And pushing the energy down your body, letting go. Fully letting go, surrendering, allowing. Now drawing the next breath into your sacral chakra, breathing into your sacral, igniting the fire of your creative force. And then breathing that out down your body, filling your whole body, feeling the juiciness, the tingles move through your whole body as you're acknowledging and surrendering to the love within you. And we call forward Archangel Metatron. We call forward the sacred fire, geometry, to keep us in this sacred space, to protect us, to allow only the highest frequency of divine love and light to flow through the space. Thank you, Archangel Michael, for your protection, your blue, beautiful electric light that's coming in for divine protection and grace, and all the beings of light that is working with us, and allow all cosmic connections to come through today, and allow this truth to flow through us and from us, igniting, activating, alchemizing, transmuting, receiving, in so many forms, in so many ways, on so many levels. And so it is, and so it is. And when you're ready, gently come back and open your eyes. Beautiful. Well done. How are we all feeling? Okay. Excited. You have to take a moment to come back in, hey? Oh, hang on, I just need to turn this lovely music off. Okay, awesome. So the audio okay still? Awesome. All right, my love. So we've got so many questions. Thank you so much for, sharing your topics. And I feel like just before we start, I'm going to do a round table kind of thing where I just would love for you to say your name, just give it one little sentence around who you are, what you do, and one word, how you feel right now. So whoever wants to go first.
Hey, my name is Tara. You hear a bit of background, a bit of echo?
No.
Okay, I think it's settled. Hello, my name is Tash. I'm the CEO and founder of Ashwin Publishing, and I support soulful entrepreneurs to share their message on the global stage. And I'm feeling really open-hearted.
Thank you for being here. Beautiful. Helen.
Hi, thank you, Natalie. My name is Helen, and I am a psychic medium, a Reiki master, and I actually feel relaxed.
Beautiful. Welcome. Penny.
Hi, everybody. My name is Penny Hawkins. I am an authorised civil celebrant and a co-facilitator and creator of Journey Home to Soul. I'm also so much more than I can put words around. I am feeling complete bliss and much gratitude.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Welcome everyone into this space. And my name is Natalie Brown. I'm a spiritual wellbeing mentor, the founder of Centaura Cosmic Ascension Energy Healing. I'm a mama of 2 teenage boys. You know, there's so many hats, but mainly I absolutely love helping women step into their full divine expression of their gifts, their medicine, their magic, and just bringing that out into the world and really helping people to celebrate themselves in every way and form that they can possibly do that. So that's what I am and why I'm here, and many more other things which I'm sure that you will find out over the next couple of months as well as we move into our summit. So I've got some amazing questions that we have, and if there's anything that you want to ask, please feel free to share that in the comments with us, and one of these beautiful ladies will keep an eye on it. So let's start. We're going to talk about spirit encounters, and I want to put this out there, ladies. Have you had any spirit encounters or experiences? And what did that mean for you and to you? How did that change your life? So let's kick this off. Feel free to raise your hand if you feel called to just speak into this. I'm not going to call out names. I think that's the best thing. Go for it. Go, Helen.
Okay, so I've had many experiences in the past with spirit, but one experience that I had was when I was about 15 years old. And at that time, I didn't actually know that I was psychic. So it was just before I found out, and I moved into a house where there was a lot of spiritual activity going on. And after numerous months of finding out what was going on with the house, how far back this home had gone, what it used to be on the property, things like that, I went to a psychic to try and figure out, okay, what is going on here? And she said to me that the spirits who were in the home were actually there to help me to discover who I truly was, to discover that I do have psychic abilities, and that apparently I had a lineup of spirits wanting to talk to me. That kind of freaked me out. Being 15, I thought, well, that actually, that sort of made me think, well, okay, I'm not crazy, that the things I'm experiencing are normal and it's okay. So from there, I started to learn more about the psychic side of things, to have a better understanding about myself. So I was amazed that thinking that I was being haunted and the house was being haunted, that it all came down to these spirits wanting to make sure that I knew who I was and how I can help people.
Beautiful. Wow. And that's the thing is, like, we, because of the societal influences, I suppose, we grow up, or we have grown up in households or in families that didn't quite understand our gifts or understand what was going on. And so there is this thing about, we're afraid of our gifts, we're afraid of spirit, isn't it? So yeah. Tash, do you want to speak into your spirit encounters and experiences?
Yeah, I've had a number that have really stood out in my mind. And one is, I was very little, and my great-grandmother had passed away pretty recently to that period of time. I think I must have been 5 or 6. And I'm fairly certain it was around the time that she passed, like a few hours around that period of time. And I remember seeing, it's the only time I've ever visually seen spirit, actually, but seeing, like, it looked like her, but it was, she was transparent and misty, and it was very powerful. I remember being really taken aback and not scared, though. But that really, that experience kind of opened up my eyes, even at a really young age, around what's possible for what, so much more than what we can see with our senses. So that's the experience that comes to mind. These days, I tend to connect with spirit through channeling, through writing. And I find when I do that, it's a full body experience for me. What comes through, I feel it very, very powerfully. I'd love to work more on visually seeing spirit as well.
Yeah. And Penny?
Like Tash has just shared, a lot of my seeing has come through channeled writing, and most recently, like literally in the last couple of weeks, through drawings. I had the most profound experience with a drawing a couple of weeks ago, and as I was and I'm not a drawer, I'm so not a drawer, but I'm literally getting all these sort of symbols and things coming together, and as I did it, I knew that it was my journey that they were showing me. But from a feeling and experiencing perspective, interestingly, my opening up of this has been with animals. We live in a beautiful area, and when we moved here, we've just had this constant succession of natural wildlife being on the side of the road or dead, and we stop, and particularly me, stop and pick them up. And when I feel the call to do that with them, like I'm feeling their energy. And then when, like, I picked up a kookaburra one night on the side of the road, and it was in the back of my car, it was late at night, and I could actually feel the kookaburra. And we actually bring them back to our property and bury them and make quite a ceremony around it. And every step of that, I'm feeling the energy of the animal. And when I know that their journey home is done, I feel it all. So, and I have alive animals I have the connection with as well, where, I feel them and have a very special communication with them.
And how did that change your life, having that connection? What was that, what was that aha moment for you? Or was it just like a general slow burn?
This uncovering of the gifts that I have is very much, I mean, some of it's been a slow burn, some of it's been a baptism of fire. I guess the trusting has been the thing for me, but what it's given me, particularly in relation to the animals, I have a deep sense of honor that I am able to, in the case of where they're deceased, to feel them and to know through working with my energy and theirs that I'm actually able to send them home. I mean, we've got them buried on our property as well, and we use the medicine that they've given us and the energy they've given us when we do ceremony here, but we actually do feel them as well. And it's been a great conversation opener with my children as well, because they've been part of all of that. And so I guess part of that gift of receiving that from a personal level is, for example, my youngest son went out riding one day and there was a dead duck, and he came back home to get this duck to bring it home. And in doing that, and he's been asking and questioning, are they home yet? And that's been really beautiful. So there's just, so many blessings. I feel deeply privileged.
Beautiful. I love that, that we can go beyond our humanness and actually look at animals and other sentient beings and plant kingdom and all of that aspects, to be able to really communicate with that. And that's very much what my work is about at the moment, is being the bridge to us communicating with things that we never thought possible, right? So it's very exciting. But thank you, Penny, for sharing that. And I suppose I've always had spirit around me. I've always had them sitting on my legs, especially when I was younger. And just like Helen, I didn't realize at the time that they were trying to tell me, come on, wake up, you have these abilities. And I was terrified. I used to roll myself in a little pancake, literally blankets just up here, and be absolutely so afraid of seeing these spirits, because they used to stand by my bed, or I could hear them, I could sense them. But I think, and then after shutting down my gifts, which I write about in my book as well for a long time, the moment that really hit home for me in my spirit encounter was I was doing a Reiki session on one of my clients, and I've told this story many times, so she's happy for me to share this. But I kept on hearing, and this was right in the beginning, early stages of me doing energy healing, and I kept on hearing this name, Maria, 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 in the back of my head. And eventually it got so loud that I was like, okay, can I have a moment to finish this healing session, and then I'll come back to you? And then so I finished my healing session, it went quiet. And then at the end, I literally forgot about Maria. And so then the next minute, as we started talking with a client, I heard her name again. And she was right in front of me, like literally standing in front of me. And I said to my client, look, can I just ask you, do you know a Maria? And she burst out in tears. And she said to me, oh my goodness, that's my grandmother. And it was in that moment where I went, oh my gosh, I can speak to spirit. I can see spirit. Holy smokes, and it was just that activation moment that I really needed to then start speaking to spirit. And it was like literally a gateway that opened up, because then I could see this line of spirit lining up to talk to me. And I had to put some boundaries around that as well, which we'll touch on later, psychic boundaries and protection and stuff like that. But yeah, that was really my moment. So that brings us into ways you can connect with spirit and the ways that spirit connects with you. So what I'm talking about here is if you hear, you see, you sense, maybe telepathy, deja vu. Like Tash said, she has this whole body, full body experience. Number sequences, through animals, like Penny said as well, leaving gifts like feathers or coins or butterflies and birds. So let's talk about ways spirit is trying to connect with us, or we can connect with spirit as well. All right. Who wants to go first? Go on, Helen or Penny. Penny.
Go, Helen. Or Penny.
Everyone's hands up.
Helen, you go.
Yeah, I feel, Helen, that's your turn. That's your call.
Okay. Okay, so with spirit, I find that I will get feathers. Very rarely I'll get a coin, but actually I'll give you an example. A few weeks ago, with a job I used to work in, I was in a classroom cleaning, and all of a sudden this feather just dropped out of nowhere. The windows weren't opened. There was no way this feather could just land in front of me while I was vacuuming. So I picked it up and I thought, okay, this is a sign that you don't want me to be here. The following day, the same thing happens, but in another classroom, a different one. And then the third day, and by the fourth day, I'd already decided that, I'm just walking. But I find that if I'm not supposed to be doing something, because there's something better for me, then I will have feathers just drop out of nowhere. I'll even find feathers in my car. I also find and not often, that I will actually hear spirit, like the actual, like a spirit actually talking to me like you and I are doing. Mm. It's not often I'll hear that. And a lot of times I'll have a spirit come to me in my dreams where I will fully, clearly see and hear them. And other times it's just free feeling, just getting that really overwhelming intuition. And also, it's funny because with my right ear, I'll get this really loud buzzing sounds. So I know that spirit's trying to talk to me, and I've got to stop, close my eyes, and just tune into what is going on. And that's when I might see somebody trying to talk to me, or I might just get words up, and it's like a TV screen where big bold letters will come across. So that's how spirit likes to connect with me. And when spirit is around, I'll get different feelings for different spirits. So I might get an overall body tingling. I might feel like someone's just sort of stood over the top of me, and it's not an uncomfortable feeling, but you can just feel like a body almost. So that's how you start to distinguish if it's, maybe your parent, a grandparent, maybe it's your spirit guide, it could be an angel. You start to, after a while, figure out who it is, because you'll get that different feeling, that different sensation, and they'll try and communicate with you in different ways. So dreams is a big one for me.
Beautiful. Wow. Thank you. That's a lot.
It is.
That's a lot. I reckon because we're already psychic, aren't we? Right? Everybody is psychic. We all are healers. We all have those abilities within us. It's just simply tuning in. So like turning up the dial to tune in to what is needing to come through us, and really opening our channel, which we'll also talk about how to reactivate our channel in a bit. But yeah, thank you for that, Helen. So Tash, do you want to go next?
I did an amazing psychic development scholarship with a beautiful woman a few years ago. It was about a 4-month-long process. And she said to me once, like off the cuff, one day maybe even I'll die and then I'll be on the other side. 4 weeks later, she died. It was very, very sudden. It literally came out of the blue. And when I first heard about it, it was this incredibly shocking feeling of like, oh my gosh, I think she actually had a feeling that she knew she was going to pass. She was very young as well. And it was a real surprise. And so it's quite interesting having a mentor on the other side, who I have done a lot of work with, establishing psychic connections. And she was the one who taught me channeling, channeling, automatic writing. So I will often tune in with her, and especially in relation to my business, we did a lot of work together on establishing like the bigger, grander mission that I'm here to facilitate through my business, and connecting in with my various business guides and creating, really solid connections with them. So I will often tune in with her and ask her guidance through writing. And as I mentioned before, I get a very strong physical sensation. So goosebumps, particular feelings in particular parts of my body. If I'm talking with a client, I will feel what they're feeling. If they're describing something, I might feel like a tightening of the jaw. And I know now I understand now that that's my clairsentience, and to trust that. But for a really long time, I believed that I should have been able to visualize and to see in my mind's eye. I have lots of friends who can astral travel, and they would literally, visualize themselves pulling themselves out of their body. And I would try for hours, nearly give myself a hernia from like trying to push myself out of my body. And then I realized that I actually can't. Well, I have a condition called antiphasia, which I learned about recently, which is what they call mind blindness. So when I try and visualize, it's black, like there's nothing there. So I love hearing stories like Helen. You get full TV screens and words in your that you visualize, and I think that's so cool. But I've had to learn, my other methods are definitely much more around the body, and writing and knowing. That's for me. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Tash, for sharing that, because I actually have a friend that have exactly the same. For a long time, she could not see anything. So during any meditations, it would just be black. And she would just literally get up in the middle of the meditation and storm out because she just couldn't see. And because she didn't see, she didn't connect properly. So she kept on beating herself up about it. And then one day we were sitting in, and Spirit just started channeling through, and they said, but she works in a different way. And that she works with telepathy and a full body knowing. So what you told me is so spot on, exactly how you work. And it's just simply accepting our gifts, because none of us are the same. Like I said, we turn up that dial on our gifts, right? On what works for us in a different way. And if we want to be like someone else, it might not work for us. So we truly have to honor who we are and how we, how we really amplify what our gifts are. And in the way that we actually not project, but share that with the world, and honoring that, because that's when we then create magic. That's when we can then fully stand in the power of our gifts, instead of beating ourselves up and going, I can't do it because she does it that way, surely I should do it that way as well. Yeah.
That's real unapologetic authenticity, isn't it? Doing it your own way.
Yep, totally. Penny, what do you have to say about all of this?
So I became aware, I guess, through similar to what Tash has shared, through writing and sitting down and with intention. It was a very clear intention of mine to develop this, and the messages that started to come through, and they would just automatically just flow, and I'd read it back and go, where'd that come from? And it took me a while to gain the trust, or to fully own that, and to understand that, and not even understand it, just not question it. So there was that sort of that kick-started it. My intuition is something that I now realize I've had all of my life. I have this, I'm very sensitive to energy, but I now understand that I call it my knowing without knowing. And I absolutely 100% trust it now, whereas I used to question it. Now I just have words come into my head. I'll have feelings in my body. I will sense something with interactions with people and things, and my body tells me something about it. So that's a really, really strong thing within me. I'd actually forgotten about it. And because of Tash and Helen and yourself, Natalie, I realized, I also, since I've sort of started that and I've been expanding, I've been connecting with people from this lifetime. One of them was my friend, my nan and pop, but also people special to other people close to me. I was actually receiving messages through And that was a bit confronting to start with. I was like, oh, is this because of, you know, and particularly when they'd just passed, I was like, oh, do I say something? Do I not? What is this? But that's been beautiful. But also symbology, and you touched on it. Well, actually, so did you, Helen, with feathers and things that are in this wider world, and numbers and number sequences. That's a big one for me. And the animals, because every time I come across with an animal, I always look into the medicine that they're offering and what they symbolize, and it's always on par with where I'm at and what's going on. So it's very much progress for me, but I'm finding that it's sort of, when I not master, because I don't believe I've mastered any of it, but when I fully trust it, it'll give me another angle, and I just love it. I love I don't even know how to describe what it gives me. I just really value it. It's an honor.
Yeah, beautiful. And I love that through our journey, you know, the more we open up to our gifts, the more we trust and acknowledge and allow it to flow through us, the more we activate and awaken and expand, you know, to what is available and what is already within us, because it's all there. It's available and ready for us to just grab it and bring it into our hearts and say, this is who I am, right? And I think for me, it was this journey of trying to find myself, who I was in this, and this is what I write about in my book, is truly understanding who I was at soul level, so that I could integrate more of my gifts into the physical. And that was a very big journey for me, in finding out that I was a seraphim that was incarnate in this lifetime as a teacher. And through that came many different aspects of my gifts. I remember connecting with the Andromedans one day through a client, and I was like, what is going on? Who are you? And I just heard everything just came Andromedans, and I saw technology, you know, ships and all sorts of things. And it was just these amazing flashes. And I was like, okay, breathe, go with this. They clearly want to share, you know, and that was the first encounter with cosmic beings as such. And then since when I opened that doorway, then everything just started flooding through. And then Centaura came through, which is the energy that I activated about, 2-3 years ago. And so it's been an incredible journey. And I feel, for me, it's a deep knowing. There is so much wisdom within our bodies that we don't even have to question it. It just comes when we accept it, when we allow, when we give ourselves permission to truly step into that greatness, into that next level greatness, and expand a little bit. You know, just thinking about, am I limited to just seeing? No, you're not limited to just seeing. You can sense. You know, the first, I remember as a young girl really sensing, and then having voices. I mean, 5 years before I was in my accident, I literally, which was my awakening, I had voices in my head, and I thought that I was going crazy. And they kept on talking to me and saying to me, this about this person. And I feel completely, so how spirit connects with me is through feeling as well, but this deep knowing, telepathy. I don't get away with it, unfortunately. I feel like when I open that door, it just floods in. And that's why I have to have really good spiritual boundaries, and why I have an amazing team that works with me. So, yeah. So this brings us on to, what does spiritual authenticity mean to you? What does it mean when I say being spiritually authentic?
I'm happy to go first here. I think for me, it's a lot to do with, like you've said, really trusting what comes through for you, and being the vessel, being the channel to allow. I mean, it's almost, I'm sure there are still going to be filters, as a message comes through, it moves through so many different filters, right? The filters of our understanding, the filters of our languaging, filters of you know, our ability, you know, in terms of like your clairs. For me, when I hear the term spiritual authenticity, that speaks to me of simply trusting and allowing and being the vessel, and really bringing through in the most authentic way to me, not to anyone else, as we've spoken about before. Yeah, that's what comes up for me. Love to hear the others.
Yeah, thanks, Tash. That is so, so true. Ladies, what do you feel? Go, Helen.
Okay. I actually have to agree with Tash on this one. It's about trusting what comes through, because you're a channel for spirit. And it's just about trusting your intuition, trusting what spirit wants you to see, feel, what's coming through. Quite honestly, I'm not sure what else you could say on that one, because that's how I feel about that too, is just what's generally coming through from spirit. And when you're doing a reading for somebody, you know, sometimes you may second guess yourself because of the words that are coming through. You know, I had a reading a few years ago where I had to say the word gay to a lady who just lost her son. And I honestly didn't know how I was going to say that, because I didn't want her to be offended. And the more I chose not to say it, the more spirit pushed and pushed and wouldn't leave me alone. So I told her very gently what was coming through, and it was no big shock to her. I felt relieved, but then after that I realised, okay, no matter what comes through, you need to trust what comes through from spirit, because it's coming from spirit. There's a reason for it. And don't second guess yourself, no matter what.
Yeah, absolutely. It's your truth, right?
Yes.
It's your deep, it's your essence. It's and you know, often when you deny those messages, you're actually denying the person that you need to speak to and share your truth. You're denying them an opportunity to wake up. I always talk about planting seeds. No matter how that person takes it or reacts to it, they might not like it, but we are here to share the truth that comes from a space of deep love. And that's the most important thing, that it does come from that space of love and compassion. And I feel like when spirit comes through, you know, they are so amazing. It blows me away the way that spirit moves through all of us and works with all of us, right? And the fact that they are funny, the fact that they, you know, they can crack a joke. I have an amazing funny spirit team, and they're quite cheeky sometimes, and I go, really, you want me to say that? But it's just about trusting, like you say, trusting yourself, but really honoring the truth that is moving through you, and always having your channel connected with the highest frequency of divine love and light, because then you bring through those pure messages, right? And that's why it's important to always cleanse and clear your channel, because you are in that space where you can pick up other people's energy, where you are, you know, like a walking sponge. And we'll touch on empathy in a minute as well. So yeah, Penny, tell me about what spiritual authenticity means to you, my love.
Firstly, that is a brilliant question that I'm going to continue to sit with beyond this, because I've never been asked that, and I think that is such a great question. In this moment here and now, my response would be that it's about getting the human out of the way. And I believe that we operate dual systems, a human operating system and a soul operating system. And the soul operating system for me is where I'm receiving what I'm receiving from a world I can't necessarily see. And it's about the human. If we allow the human to get into the mind, involved in this kind of receiving of messages, that's where we start to apply our own thought patterns, our own beliefs, our own values, our own experiences to it. So for me, the authenticity comes from pushing aside the human operating system, allowing and honoring the soul to speak, and actually not applying any of the humanness to it, just totally that inner knowing and that trusting of what's coming through. And exactly as has been spoken, that I do trust fully that that is coming from a place of love. It is not coming from a place of any of our humanness, of judgment and you know, all of that sort of stuff that can come in. So for me, spiritual authenticity would be that complete honoring of the gift and allowing the freedom and flow of it to come through without the human interfering.
Yeah, so beautifully articulated. Yeah, that made me feel all goosebumpy all over. Yeah, so let's talk about how to activate our channel. I think that's important, leading on from that as well. And why it's so important to be embodied in our lower chakras to fully reactivate our channel. So who'd like to talk into that?
I'm happy. I just put that question into the Facebook chat, because I would love to hear for everyone who's listening what spiritual authenticity means to you. I'm getting that it means something, slightly different for everyone, and that everyone has a really powerful perspective on that question. Thank you. Really awesome. Yeah. So for me, I've found that the more, where do we begin? I think in the spiritual communities, there can be a lot of work in the upper chakras. That's what we're doing when we're channeling, and we're opening up the 6th and the 7th and the 5th chakra, and it's all upper chakra work. Often it can be that we will often bypass a lot of the very, very powerful and foundational work that can happen in the lower chakras. So for me, some of the most powerful work I've ever done has actually been working in the lower 4 chakras and really, clearing out a lot of the, the traumas that can take place at those consciousness levels, right? But I find if we're not working to really support and stabilize the lower chakras, the upper chakras end up becoming the mouthpieces of the wounding that is stored in the lower chakras. So if you have a belief in the first chakra that, it's not safe here, I'm not safe, this is not a safe place to be, I don't feel safe to be me, I don't belong. And if that's like really grounded in at that consciousness level, then what can often happen is in the upper chakras, you will interpret your messages through the lens of it's not safe, or I don't feel safe, or I don't belong. Same thing as we move through the consciousness levels of the other chakras. And so really powerful embodiment practices and the clearing and healing of the traumas that can take place in those lower chakras has been the work that has activated my upper chakras. For a long time, I was kind of, oscillated between being all up here and then being all down here, seesawing for quite a long time until my channel strengthened and elongated. And when that happened, I really felt it in my body. And I think that's why I do feel so much like spirit moves through me, through my body, and I feel it so powerfully. For me, that's my authentic way of interpreting spiritual messages. But yeah, I think there's so much to be said for a bit of the spiritual bypassing that can take place, because it's messy. It can feel messy to do that work, and heavy and intense. And it's so easy to just live in the upper spiritually connected world and the upper realms, and live with the angels. But we're in a human body having a human experience, and this is in many ways what we're here to learn how to do, I think, is how to be in our bodies and how to have our bodies be the instrument that moves messages back and forth.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally nailed it. Gosh, this is something that I see so much within the spiritual community, and which I am definitely here as a leader to push the buttons of those people to really bring them back to authenticity and to their truth. Is, I often see a lot of people seeking that bliss, that constant bliss state, and doing all the practices in the world, but they never fully finding themselves, or never fully integrating or embodying all the parts of themselves that's ready to come through them. And so there is this almost group of seekers that chase the high constantly, and not fully, they don't want to go and do the work, because like you say, it is scary. It is deep work that needs to be done. It is that sometimes having to feel that darkness, like Steve said this week as well, it's really going into the dark, deep trenches, and pulling all the stuff out and witnessing it, acknowledging it, to then fully see the light. And this is such an important part of my work. And at one point I said to Spirit, I don't want to be in this density anymore, because as you do the work, your frequency raises or goes up, and you feel like you don't want to sit in that dense energy anymore. But, if you continue staying in that pain, you're perpetuating that cycle as well of pain and not allowing yourself to evolve. So when you, like you said, Tash, when you fully integrate it and you work on the base chakras, where the trauma sits, in the lower chakras, whether it be sexual trauma, whatever, relationship trauma, whatever it is, it's so important for us to go and do the inner work. And I particularly feel that this is important for leaders that are here to lead others, right? There's not one moment that I don't do the inner work. I'm constantly in that space of, okay, let me feel into my body, let me allow myself. And I've gone through some crazy death and rebirth experiences. I've had a massive Kundalini experience and a massive awakening and several other experiences, because I went there. I went to the uncomfortable spaces. And a lot of I have this beautiful, I remember one client said to me once, you have this beautiful ability to go and take me into the darkness to see my light. And that's what we've got to do. We have to do that, right? What do you think, Helen and Penny?
I think that you're definitely right on that, because in the last year, or just over the last year, I have been working really hard on my inner trauma, and I started discovering that it affects everything. When you've got all that trauma bottled up inside of you, it affects your chakras. It can block them. You kind of feel stale energetically. You start to notice, and maybe this doesn't happen to everybody, but in my experiences, you start to have not such a great outlook on life. Like, these people are out to get me, nobody likes me. So it does start to change your perspective on other people, about yourself, how you're emotionally and physically feeling. You might start to feel sick more often. You might get the flu or something. And until you start to really, start to release all the crap that's been built up over a period of time, that's when you realise, wow, I wish I had done this years ago. If I had known, I was going to feel really good and actually feel like a heavy weight just lifted off my shoulders and my stomach. I would have done this a long time ago. And the more you lift and the more that you get rid of, it's like the more you feel more lighter, and you start to have a better outlook on life, on people, things around you. You start to enjoy life more. And you start to realise, okay, I don't feel so blocked as I did prior. So, yes, this is good for my health. It's good for my well-being, my higher self, my soul. And I'm just going to keep continuing to do it.
Yeah, so true. Thank you, Helen, for sharing that. And I think, one thing that you said was, once you've done it, you're like, oh, that wasn't so bad. But in the moment, you absolutely bricking it, right? Or you just feel so fearful and you're like, you don't want to go there because why? It hurts, right? It hurts. And we don't, as human beings, we don't want to be hurt. And also, this is trauma imprints from past lives as well. So it's like that triggering remembrance of when I do this, or if I fully step into my gifts, if I use my psychic abilities, right? I was hurt in a past life. So it's not just in this lifetime, but there's trauma responses in past lives. It's integrated into our cell, in our cell memory as such, right? So yeah, it's really about stepping into our brave and I suppose holding space for us in that moment with deep compassion and opening our hearts. And I always say on the other side of fear is your greatness. And that is so true because, man, when I see the women that I work with push through that fear and they come out on the other side and they're like, right, which way do I go now? Up, down, sideways, whatever. They just feel alive. They feel liberated, empowered, and they feel more themselves. Yeah. Penny.
Oh my goodness me. Tash, thank you for what you shared because, and Natalie, thank you for opening with that question because I had not even considered that I hadn't considered anything to do with the chakras to do with it. I mean, the obvious, as Tash beautifully said, in the top and all the rest of it. And that's definitely where I started. But, and Helen talking, about that lightness in the body and the change and how it was better for your well-being and how dealing with the trauma. I just hadn't looked at it like that. And it's so damn true because I'm currently, for example, working with my sacral chakra from trauma imprints and things like that. And what's coming through from focusing on that area and daring to step into the shadows, which, by the way, can I just acknowledge each of you as well? I freaking love that we are talking about shadows. I love sitting in the shadow because that's where my greatest healing has come. Natalie, you spoke about, your vibration lifting. Yep, that's the energetic imprint that, from trauma or lived experiences or, false beliefs that's clearing away. And that's where my gifts have really come through because I've been doing that work. And I find that each time I actually go into that, whether it's shadow or light, but being authentic, that's where like an increase in vibration, a deeper level of the gifts come through. And there's so much magic in that and it's so important. And shadow is not to be feared. Shadow is the wisdom. And look at the beautiful gifts it's given each of us that we're working with in different ways. I could talk about this for hours, sorry.
It's so juicy, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes. Love it. I've got goosebumps running up and down constantly, and that's often, that's normally my spirit team going, yes, you've got it, you've hit it on the head. So yay. Whoo. So I would like to actually, following on from that, and this is something that I really see in so many of the women that I work with, and I'm sure that in the women that you work with, you see this as well. And one thing I feel, what advice would you give women who feel the call to step forward and share their gifts, but they're struggling with comparison and feeling like a fraud?
Helen, that has your name all over it.
Thank you, Tash. I would actually say, because I've been there before myself, I'm sure we all have actually, and it's not easy because I too was comparing myself to really amazing psychic mediums like Mitchell Coombs. And there was a lady named the Amazing Belder, and she was amazing. And just a few other people out there. And I thought, oh, I can never get to where they are. You know, how am I going to do this? And I started doubting myself. And it's all about, you know, practicing with your psychic abilities. So the way I first started was I got myself my very first tarot cards when I was 16. And I started practicing on my family members. And then I started practicing on my very closest friends. And then when I started to see, oh, you know, like that my friends were really surprised and they couldn't believe how much information I was receiving on them. I thought, okay, I feel confident enough to start asking other people I don't really know if I could practice on them. So then your confidence starts to build up. There are little exercises that you can do as well. So one of the things that I would do is, as you're driving towards the traffic lights, you quickly say to yourself, oh, it's going to turn red, it's going to turn orange. You know, do things like that and see how often, you know, it turns red, turns orange. It doesn't matter if you're not right every time. It's just about practicing. There's a little cup trick that you can practice as well. So getting someone to put an object underneath a cup, and then you've got to look at the cup and like try and hone in on the energy of the item. So it might be a crystal or I don't know, something, and try and use your intuition and your psychic abilities to work out what the object is. If you don't get it right every time, it's okay. It's just practice, practice, practice. And I don't feel that women should continue to compare themselves because we've all got different gifts. We have different ways of using them for different reasons. So we're not all going to be able to do the same as, say, Mitchell Coombs. You know, we've got our own gifts. We have to work out what they are, and we have to work out how we can use them and how we can help other people. So it's a matter of practicing. It's a matter of having patience with yourself, because these things take time. You know, look around for a mentor, someone that you can do a course through, someone that you feel confident and comfortable with, because that's really important. You know, do as many courses as you feel you can do. Learn as much as you can, and trust me, over time you're going to start seeing, oh, I'm clairvoyant. So this is one of my main gifts. You know, oh, you know, I'm a medium. Okay, so I can connect with spirit. It's just a matter of figuring out what gifts you have and what you want to do with them. So where do you want to go on your path? Do you want to do this as a way of helping other people, or do you just feel confident just learning for yourself? So that would be my advice.
Yeah, that's such beautiful. It's beautiful advice. Practice. So practice, practice, practice. And I also want to add to that, Helen, thank you for sharing that we all have a unique soul signature. And within that soul signature is contained our creator codes, okay? And often because of trauma, they're under layers, right? So of this trauma. And so what happens when we actually practice and we heal ourselves, we shift that trauma, then we bring out, those gifts start to land for us. And the more we do, the more we practice, the more acceptance we step into of those gifts. And it sometimes can take a little bit of time, okay? Sometimes people just go through a massive awakening and they have these gifts, but, you know, often the main thing is to continue practicing and truly honor your unique soul signature. I always say that, the way that you speak, and maybe another person speaks like that, they use the same words, but the way that you share that out with the world, your magic, your energy is completely different. So you could be doing exactly the same thing, but the way that you share it is totally different. And so it's really honoring that uniqueness, that soul signature of yourself, and all the gifts that's landing and coming through that unique soul signature as well. Thanks, Helen. Tash?
Yeah, I'd love to. Something that came through really strongly just then is, I remember when I made the decision, and, I was never someone who had spirit beings come to me and sit on my bed, although I was told in many a psychic reading that was happening. And so I didn't necessarily, apart from the encounter I shared before when I was very little, I didn't necessarily think that I was particularly psychic until about 2 years ago, when I decided I wanted to work on it, open it up. And one of the things that I did was I said to myself on a regular basis, I am psychic. And even if it didn't feel true, I would continue to say it. I am psychic. I am intuitive. I trust my intuition. I have a clear channel. And the more I said it and put sticky notes and reminded myself of this statement and this belief and this knowing, the more I started to vibrate with that knowing, I guess you could say. I remember at one point when I started on this path of, really working on opening up my channel, I was out walking in the bush, and I put my hand on this tree and just closed my eyes, and this flood of information and wisdom came through my hand down from this tree all the way down. And it was the most incredible experience of feeling this knowledge and this wisdom come through, and then come down through this tree, enter my hand, come up through my arm, come to my heart, and from there up to the upper chakras, down to the lower chakras. It was this wild feeling and experience. I didn't hear this knowledge or this wisdom. I just suddenly knew it, this full transmission. And that was like probably the moment where I went, holy shit, what just happened? I am psychic. It was after a few months of saying this to myself and working on opening my field, opening up my energetics, and it happened. I do believe we all are psychic.
Absolutely. And oh my goodness, I am statements are so powerful, right? When we truly embody the feeling of, when you say, I am love, that doesn't feel like anything. When you go like, I am love, I am strong, I am grace, I am psychic, and you truly believe it and you feel it in your body, man, you become an awesome manifester, right? In the moment.
100%. And what happened was I actually started pairing, okay, this is going to look so ridiculous. I started pairing these statements with power poses. I don't know if you heard Wonder the power Woman. Pose. So I am psychic. I am intuitive.
Oh, I love that.
And that was so powerful because these power poses change your chemistry. They've been proven that they do. And then when you combine them with really powerful I am statements, it's like a double whammy.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. And that is full embodiment, right? Yeah, totally. Yeah. Gosh, thank you, Tash. Penny.
God, I love that, Tash. And I love the conviction with which you did it. And it's the energy we're talking to ourselves, isn't it? Oh my God. Okay, so when I started out, it was like from the channeled writing perspective, which is where I really started. I used to write in my journal. I would start with, dear soul, what is it you want me to know today? And that's what I started with. And, I'd done my practices of connecting in, of being in stillness, of anchoring myself in the ground, of, opening to receive. So I'd done that. I'd created, I usually go out into a park, and I have quite a ritual which is important for me. I have like this really nice cloth, and I do my things, and I will have music. but I'm in nature, which is my peaceful place and brings me really into center regardless of what's going on in the world. And then I just allow. And so it started to come through. So that's where I started. Now I've added into that. Still to this day, even though it now flows, I will still write, dear soul, what does it want me to know today? But what I've added into it is I'm a pure and clear channel of consciousness, open to receive the messages from my soul. So I add that into it. So there's my intention, my I am statement, and that. So, you know, you can really start to explore. And, you know, for me, it's writing. It's not writing for everybody. But that's where I started. And in starting that way was what really opened up things. And I think for me, if somebody's starting out, then, you know, if you are interested in something, if someone or something resonates with you, then explore that and what it means to you. And I think the really key thing for me is it's a deep inner listening. It's a deep inner listening to your feeling body, to what is coming within you, not necessarily what somebody else is, you know, they're sharing their wisdom, and it's beautiful that they are, but that doesn't mean it resonates for you. So it's that deep inner listening and then following through on that, and wherever that guides you and to whatever, you know, areas of interest it has, because I do believe that signs and symbols show up to guide us on our individual sort of path. So yeah, it's really following that and seeing where it goes. And I know that's taken me on amazing journeys, which again, they've not only assisted with my healing, but they've also assisted with the expansion. And Natalie, you mentioned past lives earlier. And just very briefly want to reflect back on that in relation to this. You know, if you're doing different healing, you know, if you're seeking different or following different areas of interest, and past lives for me has been one of them, the wisdom and knowing that I've gained through that experience. So yeah, daring to go where you're feeling drawn and taking time to be open to it, but also to reflect on it, because often there's wisdom in there that we may not have expected in our initial intention of going there. And that's why I just keep coming back to that deep inner listening and daring to follow it.
Yeah, beautiful. Oh, I love that. Deep inner listening. Isn't that beautiful words? It feels like coming home to self, like really truly honoring and coming home to self. Right. Let's move on to the next one. So psychic protection. Okay, what is energetic protection, and how do you amplify your energies or your energetic protection? Because first of all, we are always protected. I just want to put that out there. We are safe. It's just our human perception of the fact that we are not safe, our experiences, right? So we as beings embodied or in this physical body, we are safe. We are protected. So what practices do you do to amplify your protection? And I want to bring this back to empaths, because I feel like a lot of people that I've worked with throughout my life have felt unsafe. Then they come for a healing session and they're like, whoa, I feel amazing. I feel great now, right? Because they've shifted the energy that they've held on to from other people. And this is really circling back to star seeds and, you know, very sensitive human beings that are here in this moment, on this planet, on this earth, to change this world and feel into this world in a very different way. You know, how can you support, or how can we maybe share some tools and tips with them to really help them first cleanse and clear their protection? Cleanse and clear their channels and amplify their protection so that they do not walk around with other people's energy. And one little telltale sign of that is depression and anxiety. People walking around with depression, anxiety, having been on medication for 10 years, coming to me and literally having a session with me. And then they're like, okay, I want to come off my medication because I don't feel like this anymore. I don't feel like, you know, I'm depressed anymore. And it's just beautiful. So when we know that we are spiritual beings in physical form, and that when we shift the energy that is not ours necessarily, you know, and we fully stand in our energy, amplify our protection, and know that we are safe, then that's when we can take back our power as well. So what would you like to say about this?
I think this is where it comes back to, for me personally, the importance of being grounded in the body and in the lower chakras, because when I'm not, that's when I'm up here spinning in my head, feeling anxious, not so much feeling anxious, but just heady, you know. And so for me, when I can really ground back down, and it's an active process of releasing anything that's not mine back down to the earth, and the earth, she transmutes it, you know, any and every emotion, and it all gets transmuted. And I always feel very like I feel lighter when I do that, when I have my releasing and grounding practices. But I do choose to believe that I'm always protected, and that I don't personally feel like I need to have a big protection ritual. I mean, I will call in, you know, my team and the elements, and, you know, my star family and light beings that are here to support me. But I used to have a very big fancy ritual around, you know, stepping inside the crystal bubble, and but now I feel I don't feel the need to do that anymore. I'm always inside that crystal bubble now, do you know? So yeah, that's my contribution to this. It's my baby banging on the door. I don't know if you can hear that.
We won't be too long.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
If you do need to jump off, we'll understand. But yeah, I want to speak into that just for a moment. I feel that the more work you do, the more stronger you feel in your energy and your frequency, and that there's no need for you to, you know, say, oh my goodness, let me put myself in a crystal bubble. But however, it is still important when you get up to that level to also know that you can amplify your protection, and simply sending out your energy out and owning your energy, owning all of you, right? And one thing that came through Centaura, which was very interesting, is that Mama Gaia, she wants us to be sovereign beings, you know. We're in the golden age of Gaia, you know, the age of Aquarius. And so we're really being invited to step into our sovereignty and no longer give our energy away to her, but to simply know that we are transmuting it ourselves, that we are alchemizing it ourselves. So, you know, that dropping of energy into the earth, great, but just say, I transmute all energy that is not my own. And just allow that to be transmuted, and not expect her to do it for us anymore, because we are stepping into mastering our own energy and mastering our own healing.
I love that. I think that's so powerful, and I can really, really resonate with that. And we transmute it, you know, we're constantly transmuting. I think that's really powerful, Natalie. Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Beautiful.
Thank you for sharing as well. Penny.
Absolutely agree 100%. I guess in the context of the question you asked before this, with people that might be starting out, I want to speak into, because this is a new journey for me. So this is not something like, Helen, you know, I know what you do professionally, and I know a little bit about the journey that you've been on for so long. I'm nowhere near where yourself is, for example, and Natalie, the beautiful work that you do. So this is new to me, and I trust it, but because it's opening and expanding, I personally have felt from a number of experiences that I've had where, and as an empath, I felt very overwhelmed, and there's almost been moments of contraction of, this is too much. And there's been moments of, I don't want to receive this. This is all too much. This is overwhelming me. So for me, I work with a gatekeeper. A gatekeeper, I love what you said, Tash, about the crystal bubble and all the rest of it. That was very much where I started, and I absolutely could not agree with you more about grounding below, and also that anchoring in above for me. But and I work with crystals and I work with a whole heap of other things, but I've had situations where there's been a level of distress. No one's doing anything to me. It's been my own, because it's all new to me. There's been a level of distress, and I've not understood or I haven't liked the way an experience has left me feeling. And so I work with the gatekeeper, and I do always call in that gatekeeper. I do know that my gatekeeper is always with me, so that I don't need to actually call them in, but it's something, and it comes through as a very strong visual. So I've got a white stag as my gatekeeper, and I've actually spent some time really communicating with my white stag, who's called Harry, which is hilarious. Harry. When that came through me the first time, I was like, seriously, Harry? And can I just very briefly, I want to tell you how I met and it is very brief, but so I went into a flotation with the direct intention to connect with my gatekeeper, because the white stag had been coming through, and I was like, right, okay, you're obviously trying to tell me something. I'm going to try and connect. So I went into this flotation, and it was a 2-hour flotation, and the entire time, and of course I've called in my gatekeeper and I've called in my guides, so I can see the white stag there, and the entire time I'm like I didn't know the white stag was my gatekeeper at this point, so let me just tell you that. So the white stag's there, and I'm like, okay, I want to meet my gatekeeper. I spent 2 hours asking that question over and over again in this flotation, totally not relaxed, and all that was there was the white stag. And I came out of that, and I was talking to my partner later that night. I'm like, I was so frustrated. I was wanting to meet my gatekeeper and I couldn't. All that was there was the white stag. And he just looked at me and he went, I think you've met your gatekeeper. Yep. So yeah, for me, the gatekeeper is something I intentionally call in. So yeah, not sure if that helps or not, but I enjoyed being able to share that story. So thank you.
Yeah, beautiful. And just to clarify to everyone that's watching what a gatekeeper is, because some people might like, what is a gatekeeper? It's basically a guide that allows, as we obviously connecting with the cosmos, we're opening up doors, we're opening up vortexes, we're opening up different things. And so to be able to keep and there's not a sense of keeping us safe, but to bring through the right frequencies, let me call it that way, we always have a gatekeeper. So it's literally, and Spirit's shown me this before, literally someone standing by a gate or a door and opening the door and letting through the spirits, right? And I was shown this long line of spirits, like I've spoken about before, that's waiting to connect. They want to come and talk to us, right? So it's simply allowing the right frequencies to come, and it's simply with an intention that I've set that these are the people that I want to connect with from the highest frequency of divine love and light. And yeah, it's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that, Penny. Helen.
Thank you, ladies. That information's been really, really amazing, actually. Talking about gatekeepers and like higher beings, because I have a few that I like to call in as well when I want to protect myself. I'm also an empath, so I know how important it is to keep yourself clean and not try and pick up on people's energy and not help to cleanse yourself afterwards, because it can make you feel depressed. And I've had days when I thought, why do I feel depressed? Oh, that's right, because I haven't cleansed myself, which sometimes happens when you're really busy. So I actually like to call in my spirit guides. I have a main one named John, who has a horse named Daisy. So they come through. They come through for me. I like to also call in the higher universal beings of light. And whenever I cleanse my home, that's who I also call in. I'll also call in my fairies, angels, And that's just something that I've been used to doing for quite some time. I just call in everybody. I use white sage, and I will actually, there are times when I will cleanse my energy with white sage. Sometimes I will also use my selenite, don't know if you can see this, selenite little sword, which gives me this really nice overall feeling of feeling like I've just got rid of today's stuff. So I'll also once a week cleanse my house from the inside out, because I feel like that's also really important too, because you've got your family coming in and out of the home. You might have other people coming over, and they will leave, you know, yucky energy through your home. And you don't want that, because that can get really stagnant. And then, of course, you pick up on it. So one thing I had been told years ago by someone who is a Reiki master, that she would actually cut cords every day after she cleansed her energy. She would also do it with meditations, but I don't feel the need to cut cords and cleanse my energy every single day. I think that's a bit too much. So I, just like Tash and also Penny, I do trust that, you know, I haven't constantly picked up on stuff that I don't need. I will cleanse my energy at least once a week. I'll cleanse my home once a week, and I just feel that's just enough. If I feel like I feel really yucky and gross, like, you know, my energy starts to feel heavy, then I'll give it an extra clean. But yeah, I do a lot of meditations. That also helps, I feel. But that's pretty much it, really.
Yeah, beautiful. Oh, I love all those tips, guys. That's just, you know, if you're watching, feel free to try out any of those. Sage in your house is beautiful. And I think the main thing is to set the intention. Remember, you know, energy flows where intention goes. So it's always important to remember that. And what you focus on, you attract. So when you are cleansing your energy, and this is a simple practice that I've been teaching for many years, and I do it myself as well, is just simply closing your eyes and say, I release all energy that is not my own and for my highest good. And it simply rolls down you. You can feel it. It rolls down you and it goes, right? So I do that, and you can do it wherever you are, in the mall, especially for empaths. You know, when we're walking in the mall or we're in spaces where there's people, lots of people around, having this amazing tool that's just going to quickly release any energy that is not for your highest good. And the key words here, to always release energy that is not for your highest good. And that brings me on to actually, Helen, what you talked about was cutting cords. And one thing I want to share, and this is super, super important, is that some cords are necessary for our growth and for our evolution. So when we're cutting out cords, we always ask that the cords that we cut is for the highest, greatest good of ourselves and the highest, greatest good of all. And I just want to share that because it's super important, because we can go and cut cords, which is then creating almost like this, this loop effect. And I've had to reconnect a lot of people in the past with contracts and things that they've had, which has actually taken them on a completely different journey and made them spiral even deeper. So it's not something to be afraid of. Please don't be afraid of it, but just always set the intention to work for the highest, greatest good. Okay. So I know that we literally run out of time. We can talk about this forever and a day. And I feel like we've touched on, you know, tools and things that we can use and all of that stuff. But ladies, is there anything else that you want to share, just, you know, that comes up for you? Maybe something like a parting practice or something that you can share with people to really help them You know, if they want to expand, if they want to step into their next level greatness, if they feel called to move into that space, maybe leave them with one thought or one affirmation or one word, whatever comes up for you to really help them.
Okay, happy to go. Yeah, I'm just going to reiterate the power of the I am statements and the power of combining them with power poses. And anything that you're wanting to, you know, it's like identity mapping, you know, what is it that you're calling in? What is your next level? Who do you have to become in order to achieve that? And then, like, how does that version of you, how does she think? How does she behave? How does he live, or she, what does she eat? You know, like really getting in touch with my little fella here who's contributing as well.
Love it.
How does that version of you operate in the world? And it's almost kind of like, you know, reverse engineering from there, and then pairing that with I am statements. So I am powerful. I am full of confidence. I am committed to achieving my goals. I'm committed to dotting the I's and crossing the T's, and like really bringing that into your body through the power poses is very, very powerful for, you know, manifesting your next level.
Awesome. We're all going to be doing power poses from now on. Actually, take a photo and share, okay? Share in our group. And if anybody wants to share in the comments below, we would love to see your power poses and your I am statements. If you want to share maybe with us your I am statements.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, 3 I am statements or 1 I am statement that you really want to embody and bring into your life to help bring those juices, you know, get those juices flowing and to fully empower you. That would be amazing. All right, who would like to go next? Penny?
Yes. For me, I think it is that deep inner listening and trusting the inner knowing. So the knowing without knowing. To me, that's it.
Beautiful. And when we have that deep inner listening, we can hear other beings and other sentient beings, and you know, these through the Centaura program, we actually communicating with the whales, we're communicating with the fairy kingdom, we're communicating with the trees, the plant kingdom, and it's just been mind-blowing, and other realms. So when we step into that deep listening, not just of what's going on in our body, because our body is a messenger, but also then moving beyond that and expanding into the cosmos and truly allowing to receive the messages from spirit, from cosmic beings as well. They are teaching us, you know, we are being taught there's ancient wisdom, such ancient wisdom coming our way. So yeah.
Just very quickly, I have to run. Thank you so much for holding this space and facilitating this really powerful conversation. And this is our last roundtable, so thanks to everyone who's watched and listened and partaken in the conversations. But I have to go now.
Thank you, Tash.
All righty.
Thank you, Tash.
Bye.
Bye. All right, Helen, sorry. Carry on.
That's okay. I would probably recommend meditating every day if you can, even if it's just for 5 minutes. And the reason why I say that is that I feel it's important to be able to learn who your spirit guide team is, because you have a main spirit guide who will work closely with you, who's been there from birth. And you'll want to know who they are, what it is that they do for you, what can you ask, and you'll start to learn all that through meditating every day. You know, like some people are worried that they're not going to do it correctly, you know, that they're not going to get the information that they're hoping for on the first go. But again, it's just practicing every day and trying to do it in a quiet place. Even if you go into a forest, go to the beach, go somewhere where you feel comfortable, where you know, maybe it's your favorite place, and just try and meditate for 5 minutes, because eventually you will start to get a name. You'll start to see an image. You'll start to pick up on little things that will help you.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, all very practical tips. Thank you so much, Helen. That's beautiful. I think for me, what I want to leave you with as well is connection. We are connected beings. We are connected to everything, to all around us. And when we connect back inside with our heart, we open that connection to other things that's around us. And I feel that's something that's been lost. You know, we think that, and especially created by separation, you know, in this very day and time that we are living in right now, it's so important to connect back. And when we do that, and like you say, Helen, being in nature, connecting back with Mother Gaia, and truly embodying, because we are the earth, our bodies are the earth. So truly connecting with her and hearing her voice, and allowing all of that wisdom to start flowing through us, because this is what's going to allow us to truly get the messages of what comes next. How do I move forward? How do I allow more? What is it that I need to heal? And so, yeah, connection is totally key for me. Yeah, in whichever way you do that, whether it's through meditation or going for a swim or just walking on the beach and connecting with the whales. I often go on the beach and then I sing to the whales and people are like, what is she doing? Because I'm singing in light language. But you know what? That's who I am. And so that's how I roll. You know, I'm totally unapologetic in that. And in that moment, I feel so connected with all that I am and all that's around me. So yeah, anything else that you want to share?
I just want to thank you for leading this conversation and opening it up in such a freeing, deep way. Thank you, Natalie.
Thank you, Penny. I see you, darling, and I honor you, and I honor each and every single one of you that's on this conversation, that's watching this conversation. It is such a beautiful journey that we're on, and if we can fully enjoy this human experience and embody our soul light, you know, then there's so much more available and possible for us. So it's such a magical space. Sometimes, yeah, we've got to go to the deep, dark places, but it's actually, there's so much magic available for us when we truly connect in, and when we truly see ourselves, we hear ourselves, and we acknowledge the knowledge, the wisdom that is within us, and the magic that flows from that, and also the medicine that flows from that. So thank you, thank you. I just want to close this circle. Helen, did you want to say something?
I just wanted to say thank you to you. I also enjoyed the opening. That was so relaxing. And thank you to Penny and to Tash. I really enjoyed being here. So thank you.
You're so welcome. Thank you for being here and your beautiful wisdom. It's amazing.
Yep.
All right, my love. So let's close the circle, because I always close at the end. So we ask for all beautiful wisdom and energy and healing that's been received through this container today to be fully integrated with ease and grace. We ask that our hearts open wide for inspiration to flow through us, for the magic and the wisdom to start moving through us and be spoken through our voices, through our hearts. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Spirit, for being with us today. Thank you, all our guides, our gatekeepers, everyone that's here to assist and guide us and support us this earth journey. And Mother Gaia, we see you, we honor you, and our ancestors, thank you for being with us. Thank you for always, always guiding us. And just take a nice deep breath in. And drawing, as you breathe out, your energy down, back down, and anchoring in through the layers of the earth, right down into the crystalline heart of Mama Gaia. And we ask permission to be received in this beautiful space. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And just feeling this warm embrace, this warm hug from Mother Gaia. and connecting as we are being embraced with your beautiful column of light, feeling your energy draw back up. Thank you. As above is below, and so it is, and so it is. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes, my loves. Thank you so much, everybody. Have an amazing, amazing, amazing day and week ahead. And if you have any questions around this subject, we will get to the comments because we've run out of time. So we will reply to your comments. And we look forward to seeing your power poses and your I am statements as well. So have an amazing, amazing evening, loves. Mwah. Lots of love to you. Bye.